Rich tea? Yes, please. I want to joke about that. Welcome to the SP Show, episode 2. They said it would never happen. They said we'd never get past episode 1, and yet here we are, lovely people. You and me, here we are. This week has been, well, it's actually been genuinely historic. Not least because of something that happened at PMQs that I don't think you would have seen anywhere else. I don't know why no one's reporting it. I think there's some kind of conspiracy here to silence the world on Kemi Badenoch's biscuit puns.
What a load of nonsense, Mr. Speaker.
Kemi Badenoch starts off by talking about the McVitie's company. She starts off by saying that Keir Starmer has been hobnobbing at the G20.
So while the Prime Minister has been hobnobbing in Brazil,
Which is fine, as jokes go, hobnobbing, all right. Then she moved on to say something was hard to digest.
businesses have been struggling to digest his budget.
She didn't say digestive. She said digest. Why would someone make a joke and not quite make it? Kemi Badenoch's writers know the rule of 3. So the third one came in and she said that she thought someone was a ginger nut.
The Employment Rights Bill shows that it is not only the ginger nut that is causing him problems.
A ginger nut? How could someone be a ginger nut? I gotta admit, I love a biscuit. I love a biscuit pun. I wanted her to talk about your pink wafer, your Garibaldi. Throw some of those things out there. Rich tea? Yes, please. I want to joke about that. Maybe, just maybe, this is the start of something wonderful. In the comments, I would love your biscuit puns. Or just your favourite biscuits. Just biscuit chat. I'm so here for biscuit chat. Also this week we had the first vote in the House of Commons for the Smoking and Vapes Bill. We spoke about it quite a lot last week and it passed. It passed by miles and miles and miles. So only 47 MPs voted against. There are 650 MPs. So only 47 voting against shows that it's not as much of a debate as people might think. And I guess that's quite sad for you if you like a blue raz vape. If that's your thing, enjoy it while you can. If it's not your thing, and actually when you're walking down the high street and you walk through a cloud of this disgustingly sweet smoke, you might be quite pleased. Well, it depends. You're either one of the 47 or you're one of the 600. That's your position. Of course, the thing that this week will be remembered for is the vote on assisted dying. MPs voted at the end of a pretty incredible debate. It wasn't a long debate, and there was a lot of people saying the debate itself was too short. But the debate there was well, it was the House of Commons at its very, very best. Respectful, considerate, intelligent, articulate, caring, all of those things. Every speech, every vote cast was clearly cast because people care about people. They just think there's different ways to care. And the vote was 330 MPs voted for legalisation of assisted dying for the terminally ill, and 275 voted against. It's a wider margin than we thought it was going to be, but it will have its next stage. The next stage is going to be something called the committee stage. A committee will form of about 50 MPs, I think, probably, maybe more like 30 because it's a private member's bill. And they've got a special vote, special dispensation, these 30 MPs, to call witnesses and to gain as much evidence as possible and then they can make changes to the bill. So the form the bill is in now, there might be more rules or whatever around it when it finishes. And that's one of the reasons why it passed today, because the committee stage is going to be a big thing. Sometimes committee stages can have like 15 people, 10 people, and they just go through and go, yeah, it's all fine. That's not happening here. So some MPs voted yes today, and then once the bill has been changed, they then say they're going to have another look. Is this what we want? Is this the bill we want it to be? At the end of the process. It may be law at some point next year. It may be an act of parliament at some point next year. I wouldn't expect there to be any change in the legality of assisted dying until 2027 maybe, is when you can see it actually come in. Okay, so that's the week that we have had, and now we're going to get to your questions and your comments. We didn't have all that many questions. We're very new, people are just learning. If you have got a question, please do put it in the comments. The only question that we did have last week was a very important question, actually. It was about Kent Cricket's chances in the county championship next season. I'm quite sad to tell you that they are very low. We are a terrible, terrible, terrible cricket team. And that makes me cry sometimes. The rest of the comments, though, were lovely. Lots of people just saying they enjoyed the show. And, welcome to YouTube and that kind of thing. Because this is very, very new. You are watching episode 2 of the SP show, and we're still working out how some things might work. Let us know if you've got ideas, but don't just go being mean about me. Don't say, I've got an idea, get Tatton off that show. That's quite rude, and I'm a bit upset you said that, actually. So, we need to look ahead to the week that's going to come. And we've just had this really, really quite full-on week with Bun biscuits, with the tobacco and vapes bill, and then with the assisted dying bill. Next week, though, not quite so busy. I am, as I say, hoping for more Bun biscuits on Wednesday. Do tune into PMQs to see if she pulls out another party ring. The only other thing that I really want to talk about is the national insurance bill. And this is the one that's needed because the Labour Party have said, we are going to put up national insurance. And so in order to do that, they need to have this extra bill that goes through Parliament. Everyone goes, okay, fine. And it's quite tricky because Keir Starmer definitely at the election said, we will not raise national insurance. Some people heard that and they thought it meant we aren't going to raise national insurance. But of course, that's not what it meant. Silly them. Because there was a bit beforehand. And what he said was, we aren't going to raise taxes on working people, which means we aren't going to raise national insurance. And anyone who hears that immediately knows that employers' contributions, they could be raised. I feel like we didn't know that. If they say they're not going to raise national insurance, they didn't say we won't raise employees' national insurance. So I feel like it's a bit slimy. I feel like it's a bit, we can do it on a technicality. It feels wrong. But. Let's go back a bit. They are doing this because they say there is a £22 billion black hole that they didn't know about. So when they said we won't raise national insurance, they meant only employees, but Also, they wouldn't do it for employers because they didn't need that £22 billion extra. And now they do need that £22 billion extra. So they've got to go for any loophole they have. It's hard to get loads of money. So they've gone after inheritance tax, and that's really upset farmers. And they've gone after national insurance, and that's going to really upset businesses. Businesses are struggling because the national living wage has gone up. And a lot of people, most people, I don't know, a lot of people are like, oh, that's great. I like it. I like it that the people who earn the least in society now have a little bit more in their pocket. And it's gone up by more than inflation has, right? But if you're a business, you've now got to pay your workers more, and you've got to pay more national insurance on their wages, and there are going to be more workers' rights for them. Individually, each of these things, workers' rights. Who doesn't want workers to have rights? So workers' rights, like, yeah, good. Paying the people who are paid least more, yeah, great. Raising money from profit-making companies, yeah, great. It does create a bit of a storm, though. And there are companies saying that all of these things happening at the same time is a bit much. One of them is McVitie's.
Businesses have been struggling to digest his budget.
You're not necessarily creating the conditions for businesses to create more jobs. And on the other side of this, you've got 1 in 8 young people are not in education or training or looking for work. 1 in 8. Lots of those people might be written off with mental health issues. And, you know, trust me, I'm bipolar. I know how hard mental health issues can be. Work is a struggle. But there are some people who maybe could do some more work. You know, it might not have to be full-time work or nothing. Taking on some work to get out the house and feel more involved. That might be something. We need, therefore, lots of extra jobs for these people to go into. And guess what? We've just made it harder for those companies to make those extra jobs. It's really tricky to have this joined up approach. We need to make that money, so we're going to tax. We need to make sure the lowest paid people get paid decently, so we're going to do that. We need to protect people's rights. We're going to do that. We need to help people back into work. We're going to do that. Not if you've stopped it and made it tricky somewhere else. Maybe the companies will suck it up. Maybe if the economy's growing, maybe the companies will be able to say, do you know what? We're still making more money, so we can afford to do these extra things. And it looks like big companies can do it. They don't mind. Small and medium-sized, SMEs, small, medium enterprises, that's where it gets a bit tricky. And they grow, they need to grow if the economy grows, if we can sort this out, if the NHS can clear the backlogs, if we clear the backlogs of immigration, if we clear the backlogs in the courts, if we get the country moving again, then all of this is okay. Then all the companies will be making more money and will create more jobs. And we're getting to this wonderful cycle of greatness for the economy. That's what we want. If it doesn't grow, then all of these changes fall apart around each other. If there are fewer people in employment, you get less money from national insurance contributions. If there are fewer people in employment, it doesn't matter. It's all or bust with this. We need this positive reinforcement circle that looks a bit like a party ring. Well, there we go. We've come to the end of episode 2. I feel like I used the biscuit joke bit nicely. I feel like we've had a good look back. We've had a bit of a look forward. We got quite deep into economics and that kind of thing. Last week we were talking about assisted dying. This week we're talking about tax. So it's kind of death and tax. These are the certain things that we have to expect. Next week, something about birth, probably, or who knows? Parliament keeps on running. We will keep on chatting. So thank you very much for joining us for episode 2. I'll see you for episode 3 next Saturday. Love you, bye.